Hello everybody and welcome back to the Budget Miata. As you can see, it is pouring rain out today, which is just really sad. I mean, this is the spring weather here in Massachusetts, but yeah, the one thing about this Miata is that it's got a lot of faded paint here. You can see this is all faded gross. This is still pretty shiny, and then there's just no shine at all in this paint. But there's a little shine over here because I actually buffed it by hand earlier to see how it would respond, and it seems to be responding pretty well. So in this video, we're going to try to buff up at least this front bumper and see if we can make it shine a little bit more. I just could not help myself. This is something I could probably wait on, but I really want to try to buff it myself and see if I can make it look shiny, because it's really just like the ugliest part of this car right now. Even the dents, honestly, the dents aren't as bad as this ugly, faded, gross front bumper. The good thing is this bumper is already pretty wet here, so it makes clay barring a little bit easier. I'll probably put some soap on there as well. I don't think there's any wax on it, but you can also see, yeah, I've got a microfiber kind of tucked in here because there's actually a little crack. The window doesn't seem to push all the way up on the top, which is a problem. So yeah, I've got that to protect the insides from getting all wet. First step here, wash this front bumper with just some soap to get any grime that might be on the front bumper so far. So we'll just go through this whole front bumper. I mean, I'm only going to be doing the front bumper, but if I was ideally doing the whole car, I would probably wash everything. As you can see, just gotta get in there, you know. Not really too much on a Miata here to wash, but I really want to do my best here to make sure there's no contaminants or anything like that. You don't want to ruin your paint, so buffing it, obviously, if there's a dirt particle, it could create some really bad swirl marks. These headlights are actually glass. It's pretty crazy stuff. Wash these up too, might as well. So now that we've got this front bumper all soaped up, I'm going to go ahead and clay bar it. I've got some Meguiar's clay bar I've had laying around. It's unused. Clay barring is pretty simple. It just removes contaminants that might be in your paint. And this will create swirl marks, by the way, too, and that's why you always have to buff after you do clay barring. But yeah, you want some lubrication on there because you don't want to just clay bar dry paint. That would be really bad. And it's definitely picking some stuff up. I don't know if you guys can see that. Already some contaminants on there. Go ahead and go over this bumper again with the wash mitt to get anything that might have gotten loosened up off of the vehicle. So I went ahead and I rinsed off the bumper. Still a little wet, as you can see, but you know, there's no beading going on here because we did a full clay bar. There's nothing on the paint, no contaminants, nothing like that. So all I have to do now is dry it and we can begin the buffing process. Here is my solution to drying it. We've got this Ryobi leaf blower. It's electric, so it should make this pretty easy. One of my problems with this thing is I have no real way of telling how much paint is actually still on this front bumper before I buff it. I don't have one of those little tools where you can tell. My guess is probably not a whole lot of paint is left. So we're gonna go real light. I'm gonna go slow with this thing. I just wanna make it shiny. You know, I don't need to get every single little scratch out. So I'm gonna be very gentle and very careful because it's just faded paint and I really don't know how much paint is left on this. And it is single stage paint as well, so if I rub the single stage paint, there's nothing but plastic bumper left for me to contend with, but let's get to work on this thing. For my tool here, I've got this Bauer randomly oscillating dual action polisher, and it's all right. It'll definitely get the job done because this paint is really, really soft. I'm not really too concerned about, you know, trying to work this really hard to get it nice and shiny because I literally did a little test hit here by hand and it already started to shine up pretty nice. Actually did an even better little test run on this back here and this shined up really, really easily just by hand. So real nice and light with this. This pad I have here is pretty soft. It's not too abrasive like that. And I've got some pretty light compounds. I believe this is a fine cut cleaner by Meguiar's. As you can see, it's about halfway up their scale. And then I've got another one over here that just says Ultimate Compound. I don't know what this means. It says it cuts as fast as harsh abrasives, which doesn't make me excited. And it obsoletes traditional compounds. Okay, Meguiar's, interesting. I'm going to start off with a little bit of this, though, because this seems to be more of the traditional stuff. Yeah, that's probably going to do it. I think that'll be pretty decent. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just start probably right here-ish. I've got a zoomed in angle for you guys, so hopefully this looks pretty decent. You know, a few dots of compound on your polishing pad here. Kind of put that on the area that we're going to try to polish up. I think maybe I actually need something a little bit more abrasive and a little bit more harsh. I might be going too light. This might be like a very light polishing. So I've been doing some messing around and I think I just needed a more abrasive pad. As you can see, it's starting to come through a little bit more. This is where we were originally at, completely faded and dull. And then now this is where we are. You can almost see my reflection in there just a little bit as I move the camera around. And there is some shininess coming back. As you can see over here on the front of the bumper, this stuff over here is not nearly as faded and is still in like decent enough shape. And this will buff up really, really well. But let's see if we can get some of this faded stuff. Things are already looking a little bit better. The abrasiveness is definitely what was required. You can see this is what it looked like before. And now you can actually start to see my reflection. And the red is really coming back and is starting to look good on this paint again. I was trying to touch up a little bit on the side here. This was all faded up and it's coming back really, really nice as well. And as you can see, I definitely have an exhaust leak. It's just pouring out of the bottom of the car. This is about as good as I got it for now. I gotta go take this thing to the mechanic because I gotta drop it off. It's gonna get an alignment. So I tried to buff it out the best I could, you know, did my best. And it's shining up better than it did before. It looks better, for sure, without a doubt. Yeah, you can see there's some reflection coming back onto the bumper, for sure. Again, the lower down it is, the better it shined up. And I could have done a little bit more work, but I should probably get a better cutting pad and an actual better cutting compound as well before I make this thing actually shiny again. And it's definitely a different colored paint, which makes me think that this bumper was replaced. And I didn't even notice these, by the way, too. These black markers have these white little ovals around them or inside of them when you turn the headlights on. I'm going to be replacing those with stock ones though, so those are going to be going away. Looks better than it did before for sure. Could do with a little bit more shine. It's a lot better than it was though. It looks a lot better, I think, than it originally did. See you guys in the next one.